it's about that time. We're gonna bring two gents to the stage that I know y'all are big fans of. Yes?
Yeah, baby.
First and foremost, he led the way. He broke it all open. We love him. You know him as Daredevil. He is Charlie Cox! And of course, every hero is defined by their villain. So as Kingpin, Wilson Fisk himself, Mr. Vincent D'Onofrio! First and foremost, how is Dallas treating you, gents? Are you guys having a good time? Yes. I love that. That's simple. It's super simple. Charlie, you didn't say anything though. How's Dallas?
Vincent's in a nicer hotel than I'm in. I'm a bit resentful about that.
We'll get somebody on that. We'll get somebody on that ASAP. You know, everything's bigger in Texas, right? That's how we do it? So, to start things off, and I think my man Spence is in the room, he kind of had this question as well. There is no question whether or not Kingpin and Daredevil are a part of the greater MCU now, right? Obviously, with you showing up in Hawkeye and you showing up in She-Hulk, you guys know that, right? Y'all saw those? I'm not spoiling anything, just checking. Okay, was that always the plan? Did you guys feel that you were a part of the greater MCU even with the Netflix series? Or was it more solidified this time?
Yeah, no, I feel like that's a new thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, I don't really know how the old show fits into the timeline of it all.
Right.
But my feeling is that we've now arrived.
You're now here. You're one of us. One of us. Absolutely love that. Absolutely. Now, these are some very strong, pivotal roles for each of you. And I'm curious, what previous role that you've done kind of set the stage for you to take these characters on, bring them to life? Vincent, what about for you?
You mean, what roles have I played previous to this?
Yeah, any previous one that set the stage for what you brought to Wilson?
Honestly, there's none.
More than fair.
And it's an overall experience of my career, I guess, leading up to this point, which is, I guess, somehow versed me in a way to be a decent enough actor to handle this correctly.
Of course.
I would say that.
Okay. I think you're more than decent, though. I think we can all agree. Decent would have been you walking in the door. What you bring to it is far more than that. Far more than that. Charlie, what about you?
Yeah, it's a really great question. I don't know. I don't really think of it like that. I know that when they were getting ready to cast the show, I know that a couple of the creators had seen me in Boardwalk Empire. And so...
Make some noise for that, y'all. Come on.
So I think there was something about the menace of that character that they thought would be interesting, that was an ingredient that would be necessary for Matt Murdock. But really, in approaching any character, you just kind of just start building a wall from the ground up, and they all feel like very different people.
Totally agree with that. Although is Kat in the room? Where's Kat at? There's Kat over there. Kat said that Stardust might be like that thing. You were forever Tristan? Is that what you want us to let him know? Okay. That's real. I'm just throwing it out there. Just running it out there. Okay, so this is my world, right? Okay, I'm a comic book writer by trade, so I got to get a little geeky with you. Obviously, Stan Lee, Bill Everett, John Romita Sr. brought these characters to life for the first time. Were you guys comic book readers growing up, comic fans now? Where do you fall in the geeky spectrum of things?
Well, I was definitely a geek. Yeah.
Of course.
Still a geek.
I love it.
And I was Batman, Punisher, Swamp Thing. I have to say Captain America.
Come on, that's right.
And and then a little Spidey here and then with, and then like if you walked into my room when I was a kid, you would see Daredevil, Punisher, Batman, Captain America mostly.
I love that. How does it feel to bring that full circle to be a part of those stories?
It's just fucking awesome.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, Charlie, growing up overseas, you had a different cast of characters that you could have been introduced to. Were you a comic book fan?
No, I never read comics growing up. I would read soccer magazines.
Okay.
Or as we call it, football magazines.
Football. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I tell this stupid story. I was very much aware of Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I have a memory of being very young, like 6 or 7, and the house where I grew up in, we had these really high doors.
Mm-hmm.
The doorways were really tall for some reason. It was an old building in England, and I figured out that if my hands were like dry, sweaty enough, I could climb up the doorway.
Wow.
And I remember thinking that there was a chance, there was a small chance, but there was a chance I was Spider-Man.
There still is.
I mean, you do know him now. Like, I'm just saying, like, y'all met. Like,
I'm his lawyer, dude. What are you talking about?
If you remember who you're talking about, that's an in-joke. Yeah, you got that one. Good job. Thank you. Thank you. In so many ways, Matt Murdock, Wilson Fisk, they are polar opposites. But in a lot of ways, they're very similar, opposite sides of the coin, if you will. Do you have any favorite performances of each other and what you guys brought to those characters? So do you have a favorite one that Charlie did and vice versa? No worries, no worries. It's a director and a maker right there.
What does Charlie bring?
Well, do you have a favorite performance in the series so far of Charlie's? Like one that you were like, that was amazing.
I mean, his fight scenes are like incredible. I mean,
Absolutely.
There's two areas that we can cover. We can cover the fight scenes, and then we can cover his performance,
Yes.
like when he's not fighting. So in the fight scenes, the prison,
Yes.
the hallway scene, like there's a couple of times where he does these freakish things where it's actually Charlie charging a wall and jumping off. I don't even fucking know how they do it.
I mean, he was climbing walls as Spider-Man as a kid, so yeah.
When he's doing that kind of stuff and I'm on set, I have to stay in the mode of Wilson Fisk because it's annoying in real life and it's annoying as Fisk, so I just stay in my role and I just hate him 10 times more. When it comes to his performance, I mean, in what I saw, I don't watch a lot of what I do,
Sure.
but I would occasionally, get to see some of Charlie's work and some of Deborah's work, and there was a couple of really amazing scenes with Azaria Dawson and Deborah that he did that I thought were extraordinary, and then there was a couple of scenes that him and I had. I mean, I had the pleasure of doing the scenes with him. One was the one when you visit me in jail. Right? That will always stay in my mind. And so I would say it's his fight scenes, and then there was a couple of scenes with Deborah I believe in the first season and in the third season that I really liked a lot. And then there's the fight scenes.
Love that. Absolutely. Charlie?
When you ask the question, what I think about is, as an actor over the course of your career, you get to work with many great people.
Of course.
And a lot of the time you're learning from people. from other actors. You don't even know what you're learning, really. You're just kind of just learning, just taking in little bits. I had a scene with Vincent, and I'm not going to go into detail about it because I don't want to draw attention to it, but I had a scene with Vincent where I feel like I learned more about acting on that day from watching him and all of the years prior in my career. And something clicked on that day that I will be part of my craft for the rest of my life, I think.
Make some noise for that, and that's remarkable. Absolutely. On so many levels, the way that both of you are practitioners and understand the craft, but still can appreciate performances from others and go, I can learn from that as well, as though you're still a passion, you're still learning, is one of those beautiful things. I think that's brilliant. Obviously, you've talked about you guys as fighters.
If I may say,
yes, sir,
to the audience, that if there's artists out there, any kind of artists, writers, painters, actors, musicians, whatever the fuck you are, everything that he just said is exactly right. Like, it never stops. There's two things you need to know. Failure in your art is everything. It's everything. If you're scared to fail, then you're never going to be a good artist. And in that same realm of thinking, know that, if I may say, know that the struggle to achieve 100% in your art, even though you know you can't get there, because no artist can, but the struggle to achieve it knowing that you can't, that's the key. Because that struggle in everything you put your mind to, in every piece of art you try to produce, no matter what kind of artist you are, that struggle ends up to be your performance. So there's no such thing as perfection. It's all about failure, succeeding, failure, succeeding. The struggle to achieve 100% ends up to be what the audience gets.
Embrace that. Make some noise. Well, like I said, we've talked about you a little bit as fighters, but you're also very consummate lovers. Romance was such a cornerstone to this series. How does it feel to use something as delicate as love as this motivational force from either side? You're talking about love in the sense of needing to protect people from a life of crime and sometimes involving them in it. You as a hero wanting to protect all these people, again, motivated by love. What was that like for you guys? That was my bad. I asked a heavy question on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, the only answer I really have for that is other than saying that you're right, we have had chances in the Netflix show, and we'll continue to have chances, I'll say that, where love is a part of it, part of the storytelling.
Sure.
And you can use Netflix as a good example of that, the Netflix show. And that and then my answer would be this, is that I always enjoy playing this character in situations that you wouldn't imagine him in. That, like him having breakfast and him trying to deal with somebody he's in love with and the opportunity to play somebody as just a complete lunatic like Wilson Fisk, to play him as a human being, where he's sort of like a bull in a china closet. There's that aspect to the whole thing in life. So to operate as the actor inside that and try and his struggle to be normal. Like there were scenes in the Netflix show where it was very frustrating for him to have to, just live a normal life.
Right.
And that's the most fun for me.
I love it. Charlie, what about you? Using love as this motivator, whether that's deep-seated love, one night stand with She-Hulk, however you want to look at it.
I don't know. I just think it's just it's a part of everyone's experience of life. Feeling passionately about something or someone. And what's useful as an actor when you're developing a character is the more passionate they are about the things that they love, the higher the stakes are in the story. And with Matt, therefore, with Matt Murdock, it's helpful because there's so many things he's so greatly passionate about. You know, he's so passionate about the city and his community. He's so passionate about God and his religion. He's so passionate about the people in his life, his friend, his best friend Foggy, Karen Page, Electra, you know, all these people that he loves, you know. And so any threat on any of those things makes him very angry.
Yeah. Indeed. It's such a powerful reaction. And I think you're absolutely right that it triggers something in all of us, which is why we fall in love with his love so hard, because we get it. You know, we would be those people if we ever had the opportunity. Hopefully we don't necessarily have to fight all the things that you've had to fight, but definitely in that sense, and I love that. Speaking specifically of the Netflix series, you know, Vincent, you brought up the hallway. We also have to talk about how car doors are some of the most benign things, but with you guys, they become something truly dark and brutal. How do you prepare for telling stories in such a dark, brutal way? Is it something that you kind of lean right into, or is there a place where you kind of have to decompress and go, this is a lot?
I mean, personally, I have to bring up either a very emotional place, not necessarily a dark place, but an emotional place from an event in my life, and then sort of fill myself up with that past event and just sort of act and react through that, and carry that throughout a day if that's what we're doing that day. Or, you know, sometimes you do have to go to a darker place sometimes. But in my case, it's only experiences in my life, not just that have happened to me personally, but that I've experienced through other people's darkness and in unfortunate situations. And so you know, you do have, I mean, personally, I do have to go somewhere to get that. I can't walk out of the makeup trailer and just walk on set and slam somebody's head in the car door until I take their head off.
I mean, I believe you could do that. You are that phenomenal of an actor, but I totally understand if you want to kind of get to a place where there's an understanding of why.
I don't. I actually disagree with you. I don't think I could do that. I don't think I'm a phenomenal actor. What I think is I'm a hard-working actor.
Damn right on that.
I don't quit. I don't quit it until I get it right. You know, and so that's the thing.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Charlie, what about you? To go to some of these, you know, dark places and spaces, did you even have to do something different to kind of pull yourself out of it, to kind of shake that off a bit?
So I'm not one of those actors that, like, if I have a very emotional scene or a very dark scene, that I have to, like, I don't listen to music.
Okay.
And everyone has different, you know,
Processes or styles.
right.
Yeah.
And whatever works for you, right?
Of course.
I've never been someone that, like, I need to sit with music and try and drum up those feelings. I don't, because then that isolates me.
Right.
From people.
Right.
I think like, that sounds like an odd thing to say, like, I spend a lot of time reading the script.
Okay.
I really like reading the scripts, and just every time I read them, I'm having more thoughts, I'm feeling more feelings about it, and I'm just generating images. And their images are all kind of like memories.
Of course.
You know, so you're almost like building a backlog of memories, and then someone once said to me, like, when you build a character, you dig the hole and then you sit in the hole. And I think that's really well put.
Yeah.
You got to dig this hole by doing a reading, doing a research or whatever, and then you got to sit in it, feel what it feels like to sit in that hole.
Yeah.
But then on the day, for me, it's just about just listen, just be there, just get the engine, whatever the engine is inside of you, just get that running, and then let it go.
I appreciate it.
But I think that, if I may say, Charlie, I think that in the Netflix show we did one or two scenes where once you do get to an emotional place, no matter how you got there, that you will ride that emotional like a wave, that emotional state that you're in like a wave.
100%.
And all of the actions and all the dialogue comes through that at that point, yeah. Which is spectacular to watch.
Yeah. But ironically, what he's describing is what I was talking about that I learned from him. He just labeled it, but that's what it was.
I love it. So Frank Miller, phenomenal, iconic comic creator. Wrote the Born Again storyline, made Daredevil a darker storyscape. Almost to the point to, I believe, your favorite bit of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles trivia, the connection between Daredevil and Turtles. Do you guys know this? Yes? How many of you don't know this? Charlie, do you want to explain the connection between the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Daredevil?
Yeah, so apparently the creators of the Ninja Turtles. So I was a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan.
Man, I knew I loved you.
And I had the first, I had a NES. Do you remember the NES?
Yes.
So I had a NES, and I bought the NES that came with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game.
I love it.
Anyway, so I didn't know this until a couple of years ago, but apparently the creators of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were big Daredevil fans of the comic, and so in Daredevil, the toxic spillage that blinded Matt Murdock in his origin story, it then went into the sewers and it created the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is why you have, in Daredevil we have Stick,
right?
And in Teenage Mutant Turtles they have
they have Splinter.
They have Splinter,
right?
And then there's the hand and the foot.
That's right.
We have the hand and there's the foot. What else? There's something else. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, I love that stuff. It's pretty cool.
It's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it's the reason why the Turtles originally all wore red masks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's such an amazing sort of commentary, if you will, art commentating on art. But when it comes to Frank's work in particular, or any other Daredevil story, is there one that you would particularly like to bring to life if you got the opportunity?
It's so, you can't really answer that. But
I mean,
can I tell you why?
Yeah, of course.
Because every time you answer that question publicly, it then becomes a news story.
That's true.
And then as soon as it becomes a news story, you can't do it. So I'm really hesitant to do that. What will never happen, which would be really cool, I can say this, it would be really cool if the Ninja Turtles showed up in Daredevil.
Season 3 of Daredevil, the Ninja Turtles just run through. It'd be absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I love that. So, okay, I have to, kind of bring it to this space. You've brought Daredevil to life perfectly. Vincent, you brought Wilson Fisk to life, as well as Thor to life. Yeah, we're going to say that. Are there any other superheroes that you would love to bring to life if you ever got the opportunity?
Swamp Thing.
Word! He said with no hesitation. Swamp, you would kill a swamp.
That's what I want to do. I want to do Swamp Thing. I have to admit it. I mean,
Somebody tweet that, like right now. We got Sean Gunn over there. Let's bring him over. Let's talk about it.
in life when I wasn't a kid with Swamp Thing, obviously, but it was a much later thing that I got into. And I just think that you know, the way that character thinks and operates is something extraordinary. And yeah.
Is it specifically Alan Moore's run or somebody else's? Definitely Alan. I get that. Charlie, what about you?
No, I don't have any right now. I feel very, you know, Daredevil now is Matt Murdock has been part of my life for nearly a decade.
Yes,
and
yes.
we're just starting again.
It's amazing.
So, I'm just so grateful that I got such a cool one. You know,
I love that. I absolutely love that. So the last question before we get out of here comes from Isabella, who I believe is in the audience. And Isabella, hello. And in a way, it's shaped towards Charlie, but I'm going to bring you in on this as well, Vincent. As Daredevil, representing people who are not as readily able, do you have a thought on the representation aspect of storytelling that you're bringing, showcasing people and what can be done despite any sort of perceived disabilities? And Vincent, I would love to hear your thoughts on that, working with Echo as a character, and how she also brings those things to bear in terms of not allowing any sense of disability to define negatively who she is and what she can do. How does that vibe for you in terms of being a representative of such things?
It makes me nervous.
Sure.
It's so cool when I get to meet someone, and it happens a lot, when I get to meet someone who will tell me that they have some form of disability, and that this character and this portrayal has meant a lot to them and has given them great strength and courage. I find that almost too hard to kind of like to process. I always knew it was important, but with the success of the show, it's almost more evident to me how important it is. I take the details very seriously, so everything to do with Matt's visual impairment and how he operates and how those details are portrayed, and just for, you know, I work very closely with the props department and with Joe Strecce, who's our visual impaired consultant, just to make sure that we are not just doing it authentically, but we're also up to date, you know? So like, we have new technology. I used this piece of kit the other day on set that wasn't available to us 8 years ago, and you know, thanks to Joe and Katie, our props master, who brought that in, and I just think that stuff is really, really important, and it's really cool when we get it right. And I hope, I don't know, it's an uncomfortable thing to talk about. I hope that we continue to inspire and represent authentically the visually impaired community, and anyone who's. That's the amazing thing about Daredevil. He's a superhero who's grown up with that adversity, and that's not always the case. So he's a very inspirational hero.
Absolutely love that. Thank you. Vincent, your experience working with Ms. Cox as a hearing impaired actress, has that affected how you see the capabilities of anyone?
Well, before I met Alakwa, I started a school at the Queen's Theater. It's called the Theater for All. I helped start it, I should say. And it's for disabled actors of all kinds, from burn victims to people with impaired sight. It's just the whole. There is no disability that isn't allowed to learn there, and so I have a couple of books out. Those books, there's a new one out, a children's book called Pigs Can't Look Up, which is a really nice book if you have kids. But all of the funds, go directly to that school to budget the school every year in Queens, New York. And so please, you could help you could buy the children's book, and we would get more students in there. That'd be awesome. And it's also a really good book. But I'm very used to teaching disabled actors and how to learn what I know, and also bring in other teachers, voiceover teachers, and all kinds of teachers. So working on Echo at the Lockwood wasn't surprising at all to me that she could handle the role like any actor would. She's new to acting. Sure. And so it was nice to see her experiencing new stuff, learning new stuff as we went, and because she's amazing. And we had some heavy stuff in that show, for which I can't speak about, of course. Mm-hmm. But it was there were some incredible things that she did in that.
I love it. Whether you are playing the protagonist or antagonist, gentlemen, you are both true heroes. Not only in my eyes, but I think in everyone's mind. FanExpo, show some love, please. Get on your feet if you can, and thank Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio for coming to join us today. Thank you.
Thank you.